Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everybody! I messed up the intro. Did you notice?
I noticed. It's okay. Should old acquaintance be forgotten, never brought to mind?
Nice voice.
Should old acquaintance be forgotten, old lang syne? It's not just the beginning of 2024 almost. It's also episode 52, as you pointed out
Yes,
before we started the show. So we've got a year's worth of episodes, but we
do.
been going on longer than a year at this point.
Yeah, we started in October, so just a little over a year.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. I actually we got an email onto our account, and the guy's like, yeah, he's like, so he reached out. I guess he's some YouTube dude, and he's like, 52 episodes on YouTube. We should have way more engagement. Give me a call. And I wanted to write back and say, we actually didn't join in the beginning. I think we joined like at the late 30s or something like that.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
because we were strictly on Spotify and I think Rumble for the first I want to say half.
Yeah, we're still having problems with the Rumble link with YouTube, so I actually have to go in and manually upload everything from I think episode 41 or something.
Nice,
which is really annoying, and
yeah,
I can't. I don't know if they got rid of the link because I can't find it anymore where I can set it up, and I searched for everything. It might be like a pro thing now. I'm not sure.
Well, I've got all 52 episodes saved to my desktop on my laptop, so if you need me to resend those to you, let me know.
Sweet, yeah, and I should have them too. It's just, and you know what? It should be easy because I'll just copy paste everything from YouTube.
There you go,
and then upload. So yeah, once I have time, I'll put those on there because I guess that's the platform for like our type of shows or some of the subjects. Even these big guys like Russell Brand, what's his name from Bright Insight, like they'll start a stream on both YouTube and Rumble, and then they'll switch over halfway to just Rumble. They just get off.
I mean, I can see that. I mean, looking at it now or thinking of it now, I mean, I do listen to podcasts on Spotify and stuff, but I do definitely tune into a lot of YouTubers who essentially just have podcasts on YouTube.
Oh, nice. Do you go to Rumble at all?
I once in a while.
Yeah.
It's just YouTube's easy because I got the app, so I'll even get the video started and then I won't watch it. Like if I'm at work or something, I'll put the video, the screen face down and just listen.
Oh, nice.
You don't even stuff like AJ's show, the Y Files. You really don't need to. I mean, you should watch it, but you don't.
But you don't need to,
right? But you should definitely reach out to that guy who reached out to us, and I'd love to be a guest on whatever he's doing. I mean,
no, I think he's trying to sell his services where you can optimize YouTube or something like that. That's what I understood.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's a shame. If you do have your own YouTube show with 1 or 2 viewers, hit us up. We'll be on your show. We're not going to bring a huge draw or anything, but I think it'd be fun. You on your show, you will have the Uncovering Anomalies podcast.
That's right.
That is, I Want to Believe Adam.
Hey, everybody.
And I am Topher, the 2024 XXL iPodcast New Year Edition, only $29.99 after tax or before tax. Sorry.
Did you just add that, the $29.99?
I had that originally in my name, but it wouldn't fit. I had to drop it down to 50 characters.
Well, I like to see. Is that going to stay all for 2024?
No.
Oh, all right. Just for today's New Year's.
Because it's the New Year's show. And once again, ladies and gents, we are recording on a Friday night. Holidays landed on Sundays this year, which normally we record on. So we're still getting content uploaded to you, but it's just not on normal days.
Yeah, and there's a lot to get to this week too. I even dropped some stuff because I was sharing stuff on Signal. You can share to self, and I was looking at them like, nah. It's it was a lot of technology stuff. There's some cool stuff in there too, like technology breakthroughs but just over my head. I get it through my feed, but there's a lot of things going on with quantum computers, and a lot of these breakthroughs with materials and I don't get it, but it's making them really close to how we use computers now. So we can easily see like quantum computer like desktops
Mm-hmm.
in like 5-10 years, which is insane to think about. I mean,
so this is kind of related. So we released, or we showed that trailer. We didn't release that for GTA 6, right?
oh yeah,
So I was thinking about this the other day. GTA 4 came out when I was in high school, and back then in the
oh
game
wow.
you had to go to a internet cafe. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah, dude. Of course I remember those.
That really wasn't that long ago, and look, we are now. And then if you go the
Oh
opposite
man.
direction into the future, I mean, it's not hard to, it's not that crazy to believe we will be in the quantum realm.
Yeah, I mean the quantum internet they're talking about too, where it's just instant. Like you can just have it like you can have on Mars communicate with Earth instantaneously. You
Yeah,
don't
I
need
think
like
I
radio
remember
waves and
reading an article about China doing something similar, and I think I've even brought it up on the show, where they had a
yeah.
satellite up in orbit
Mm-hmm.
and they were
Mm-hmm.
using quantum communication to communicate with it, which is super interesting. Instantaneous transmission of data. I don't think they were able to transmit a whole
No.
lot, but still, I mean, it's a beginning spot.
Yeah, what they did was it was entangled particles, so they both have the same spin, and then they had one up in space, one down here. They changed the spin on the one down here, and instantaneously the one on the satellite changed to its spin. So
Super cool
it
stuff.
is. I
It's
guess they
right
have to
around the
just
corner.
yeah, they just have to figure out how to just put info in there. And
Hmm.
cryptography, I mean, that means uh, if you're using quantum cryptography, you can never break it ever. So I don't know if governments ever want that. However, if the government has the quantum computers only, then they can break anything. So cryptography means nothing.
Yeah, it's an interesting and scary concept.
Yeah,
Plus you've got the AIs coming up. I mean, AI, quantum computing, all this stuff combining is going to be the next 5 or 10 years should be very, very scary, if not just interesting.
yeah, like an AI computer. An AI quantum computer. They haven't done that yet, but if those merge, it'll be like a human
Yep.
because they say like the way we think is kind of like a quantum computer that we think in parallel ways and parallel thoughts. Which
Hmm.
which a normal computer can't do. But then yeah, you add that. That's when AGI probably comes in. Actually, there'll be a clip on AI on today's show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so let's start the end of 2023, which I can't believe it. This year went by way too fast.
It really did.
And everyone is saying that 2024 is going to be horrible. Does that mean it's not going to be? I mean, Tucker's talking about
I
it.
think there's just a lot of stuff that, I mean, it's kind of been ever since 2016. It feels like everything is on the horizon. They're talking about World War III. They're talking about China
Yeah,
going haywire, the economy,
yeah,
housing
financial collapse.
prices,
Yeah,
just everything seems like it's one, misstep to just crashing the whole system. I think that's
yeah,
the
and then
thing that a
and
lot of people
UFOs too. And I guess they need that. They want the whole UFO, not the whole thing, but like if they want an ontological shock, right, which comes from the subject of UFOs,
Mhm.
they probably need chaos, and that's how
Yeah,
they can let it out. When people aren't paying attention.
exactly.
All right, so this came out early last week, December 24th, so on Christmas Eve. And this is talking about the UAP Transparency Act, which was signed. So this is in the Roswell Daily Record of all places.
Yeehaw! Voice of
Yeah.
Pecos Valley.
Yeah, and placing a marker to judge government's UAP transparency a year from now,
Oh
which is I
boy.
think that's a cool way to like measure their success. Like, all right, fine, they passed it. We didn't get what we wanted, but at least there's something in there
Yeah,
forcing them right
it's
to
like a
release
time
records.
capsule that is even more disappointing when you open it up.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, he basically just sums it up and he goes, unless like they have to, the the NDAA orders the National Archives to establish a UAP records collection. This new collection will be populated with data and information from government agencies and departments holding relevant UAP accounts, unless withheld by the president. See,
Uh-huh.
that one really
There's always a
annoys
way
me.
out, buddy.
Always a way out. Who can deny the release of any records at his discretion? His? What if it's a woman?
Oh, these sexist bastards in Roswell.
On national security grounds. Oh, here we go. They already used that excuse. What's the difference? all of the information in our government's possession related to UAP, created 25 years or more before enactment, will be disclosed to the public. That means Roswell, Topher, and all those ones from the 40s, the 50s, like
all
Socorro.
those weather balloons and deformed children from Russia they threw over the border.
Yeah, or Germany, right? Was it Germany or Russia?
I think they said it was. I mean, I'm sure everyone says a lot of things.
So an excellent place to start is with documents we know exist or should exist. For instance, still classified Project Blue Book records, as detailed in his book In Plain Sight by Australian investigative journalist Ross Coulthart, acclaimed attorney Daniel Sheehan, then general counsel to the U.S. National Jesuit Headquarters in Washington, D.C. He's a Jesuit. Interesting. There's a lot of people that always comes up. The Jesuits run everything. Yep. They don't have access to this. He was granted limited access to Project Blue Book files in the spring of 1977 that have still never seen the light of day. According to Coulthart's reporting, Sheehan saw photos of what appeared to be a classic saucer-like UFO. The picture of the object Sheehan viewed had crashed in a field and was covered with snow. And one of the images also showed symbols on the side of the craft just below the dome.
Man, people compare them to Egyptian hieroglyphs a lot.
Yeah.
I would love to see some actual photos of these symbols on the sides of crafts.
So cool. And I guess that's why Sheehan is so militant about this. Like, he wants this stuff out because he saw it,
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "It's absolutely true. I was given access to classified Project Blue Book records and saw these photos," said Sheehan. "There was a UFO stuck at about a 45-degree angle in a snowbank with what looked like U.S. soldiers and equipment from the 1940s.
Nice.
Dude, imagine this one comes out. Without a doubt, those Blue Book files, including the pictures I saw, are precisely the sort of information the NDAA demands to be released to the public," Sheehan stated. But the bigger question is, will they? The government doesn't want this information out. It never has. The problem, of course, is that Project Blue Book concluded there was no evidence of extraterrestrial activity. Releasing these files would be an admission that the government lied all along.
Our government always tells the truth about everything.
Yeah. Hey, did your parents lie to you a lot? I'm trying to mine, not a lot, but yes, I was lied to on many occasions to protect me, I guess.
It's really, really funny you bring this up. Because I was sitting, I can't remember what, it was one of the days over this holiday season. I can't remember what night it was exactly. I know of at least one big time lie that I've told for a long time. I didn't realize it was a lie. So a long time ago, back in high school, when you're young, you can only get alcohol sparingly. You can't just walk into a store and buy it now.
Right. Yeah.
And, being some high school kids, we all got alcohol. And me being the responsible, whatever I was, 15, 16 years old, I was like, all right, you know what? I've got a big car. We can all fit. I'll drive and I won't drink. And so we were out having a great time on the town. I mean, I wasn't having that great of a time, but you're hanging out with friends. It was fun. Regardless, the next day I was helping my dad or something, and he found the alcohol in the back of my car, or he'd borrowed my car or something. Anyway, he and my mom.
But wait, was it in the back seat or in the trunk?
I believe it was in the trunk. I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee, so it wasn't like a trunk. It's like trunk space in the back you can reach.
I love that car, man. I know
it's great. 1994 Jeep Grand Cherokee is my first car. I love that thing. Anyway, the next day my dad sat me down and said, "Hey, the cops showed up at my office because he had my car, and they said, it was reported to us that a bunch of teenagers were driving around with alcohol in the back, and we need to know whose alcohol it was." And my dad told me, he goes, "Well, I talked them out of it and said it was mine, and that wasn't a big deal." Because at the time, and it still might be the case, there were no laws against open alcohol containers in the car.
Not there.
In Montana, yeah. And so I was like, oh shit. And so, I told all my friends, I was like, yeah, apparently cops got called and someone saw us drinking, yada, yada, yada. I just found out over this holiday season, the whole thing about the cops was just completely made up.
Oh,
they lied to me to scare me.
Oh my God. But yeah, I see. So the government just acts like its parents. And
that was a long story.
The populace are the kids. No, man, not at all. And and that happens to me, I think, every year. I'm like, wait a minute, that was a lie, oh man. So
I mean, they obviously lied about Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and stuff, but I don't think that counts. I don't know. I don't know how much my parents lied to me. I've never asked. I've never caught them in a lie.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's not really a lie. They're protecting us. That's a white lie. Is that what the government thinks? So within a year, we'll be able to answer these questions and more. Hopefully, let's see. If 2024 this stuff comes out,
I
I'll be
sure hope
just
so, man.
oh, dude, that'd be so amazing.
The years are going by so fast now. It'll be just like tomorrow. Wow. Now these are some goofy ass pictures up top.
It's the Daily Star. It's a tabloid in the UK. Mum
Oh yeah,
freaked out as UFO that looked like Doctor Who's Tardis flies over her house. I've watched Doctor Who before.
So if I don't know much about Doctor Who, but I do believe TARDIS looks like a telephone. What the hell is it called? Telephone booth from London, except it was blue, if I remember correct. I think. Again, I don't know much about Doctor Who.
So I think you're right. So this is her.
But why wouldn't you say telephone booth? Why?
I know, what the hell, man. Like, why does that be a Doctor
maybe it's
Who
because those
thing?
don't exist anymore.
So apparently she freaked out that aliens are watching her after photographing UFO. Shouldn't it be a UFO? That looks like Doctor Who's TARDIS, which she claims routinely hovers over her house.
Ooh,
Kate
wow.
had grown suspicious of a shining object that beamed above her house in Middleton, Leeds, for the last few years. The 36-year-old was adamant the unidentified flying object was not a star and decided to investigate the matter further by using the ultra zoom camera on her phone.
Ooh, it does look like a phone booth.
I mean, could that be something like not an optical illusion, but when it's something really far away and it's foggy, because it gets foggy there, right?
Well, I mean, cameras on phones are getting better. They're still not great. Zooming in, I don't know, it doesn't help resolution at all. And it's one of those things where, I was listening to the episode last week. We touched on this when we were talking about the Dudley Dorito.
Yeah.
There's so much pixelated stuff in the photo. It's not possible to see what the object really looks like. It's a very broad generalization of what she's actually taking a picture of, but it is a cool photo. But again, that could be anything. I mean, this looks like a lamppost in the middle of the night from far away.
Yes, exactly. So she took 3 photos. They're saying after examining the photo,
mom of 3 took a photo. Not 3 photos. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Mom of 3 took a photo of the shining light last week from her garden, but never expected the results. After examining the photo, Kay admitted to feeling freaked out by the object, which was reminiscent of Okay, fine. We get it.
They really like Doctor Who.
Famous flying time machine. Like Bill and Ted's?
I've never seen Bill and Ted.
Oh, you have? Their time machine is
called it. Look, it's a photo booth.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be some weird optical thing going on.
A TARDIS.
I mean, well, wait, let's go back up. Well, kind of.
It's just a rectangle that's upright.
Right. It's clear. Who said? Oh,
probably a quote from the article.
My first thought was it could be some sort of extraterrestrial. I didn't think it was a spaceship, but when I saw the shape, I thought that's not normal. Freaked out. Okay, well.
So we've talked about what's the place in Utah, Skinwalker Ranch. The people on there have talked about seeing UFOs that kind of resemble refrigerators. And there's actually a word for it in Mexico. It's not a chewy. I can't remember what it's called. Something like that.
Really?
And so, and it's still that same kind of rectangular shape, but the ones that they talked about, they thought they looked like they were made out of porcelain, which I couldn't say this looks like.
Right. I mean, if it is like a time traveling thing, there are people that say these might be human time travelers. I mean, I don't know. Weird. Very strange.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna have you Google something really quick. I want to see a comparison.
Okay.
Hold on. You know what? Keep talking. I'll
okay. So we got also this one. I mean, I knew the Nation of Islam was a kind of UFO cult because their founder supposedly went on a mile-wide UFO and met Allah there. So here's a clip of Louis Farrakhan, and this is what in the let's see. 1930s. Here's Louis Farrakhan describes the half-mile wide wheel in the sky that frightens the American government and shuts down our technology. There's a great clip to listen to. He's young here. It must be in the 60s when he was making this speech.
Give it a play. It'll give me some time to look up.
Right, yeah.
I'm trying to look up.
It was Elijah Muhammad 55 years ago who started teaching us about a plane in the sky that was made like a wheel.
Ezekiel's wheel.
He said his teacher, a man, Master Farad Muhammad, pointed out to him a dreadful looking plane in the sky, a half a mile by a half a mile. Built like the universe itself. It's circular and it holds within it 1,500 little wheel-like planes. Since 1930, they have known that this plane exists. But why won't they tell the American people? It is because the white man does not want to admit that there is a technology in the world and a power in the world that makes his power look like that jumbo jet in comparison to that huge plane. He don't want to admit that he don't have what it takes to deal with that, what they call walnut-shaped object in the sky. Elijah Muhammad said to us that Ezekiel envisioned this. In the year 595 BC, and it's recorded right there in your Bible. Ezekiel looked up, it was a vision, and he saw a wheel in the middle of the air. It looked like a chariot of fire, a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. This is what Ezekiel saw, and he said in the wheel, there was eyes in the wheel. I went to Libya and told Gaddafi what America was planning against him before it ever happened. Because it was shown to me. And I told him I got it from a wheel-like object. They don't want to tell you, but when the bombing started the first time, they looked up above and there was a bright shining object over the Mediterranean that interfered with the communications on that highly sophisticated aircraft carrier. They had to send it back to Florida for repairs. They're not telling you this.
Is that true?
Read it and weep, you demons. Your end is in sight. For Elijah Muhammad told us what that plane was to do and what death and destruction as well as life was carried on that plane. What you gonna do when it shows up over Washington? You can't shoot it out of the sky. You ain't got nothing. I understand why you want a Star Wars initiative. I know why you want to build a space station. You think that you will be able to get up there and do a little damage, you fool. You are just like the damn fools that fought against God in the past and thought they could win, but God never loses. And he didn't come here today to lose. That's why today he don't think 2 cents of you. He won't even whip you himself.
Chupacabra, he's cool. He's a great.
My goodness, that guy's a great speaker.
He is, yeah. There's only one of him, right? He's not back. He's not allowed back on yet.
Okay,
on next, yeah.
Go back to the last article we were looking at really quick. If you still have it open. All right, now and then in a new tab, Google, like you can just go up if you go up to the actual picture she took.
Oh, wait. Sorry, open a new tab. All right.
And then in your, I want to no, that's
one?
not no, the one she took.
This one.
Yeah, and then in your new tab, type in Chupa UFO. Also, Google has really gone down the drain, or it's being heavily censored. It's so hard. It's so hard to find what you're looking for.
Chupa UFO.
Chupa UFO. You might put Chupa UFO Brazil, and go to images. Yeah, you see that on the far left over there, that magazine cover?
This one.
Yeah, that's the Chupa UFO. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, nice one.
Yeah.
Oh wait, open up a new tab. Oh no, it didn't work. It's not working.
Well, no, see, but this is what I'm talking about when Google's really gone to shit. You typed in Chupa UFO like I did on my phone, and look at all this stuff that's not the Chupa UFO.
Yeah.
But that's because when I first heard of those things, it was a couple years ago, and it was super easy to find anything on them. I mean, that whole video, I was looking for this, like a picture of the Chupa UFO, and this is like a knockoff magazine cover, but that's what they looked like. So, I mean, my point to that first article is that seeing something in that shape in the sky is not unprecedented.
Good job. Very good job. I've never even heard of this. Like those beings in there.
Yeah, I said Mexico, but I guess it was Brazil. Maybe it was also in Mexico. Yeah, really pain in the ass to find. Anyway,
yeah. So isn't that cool? I mean, Farrakhan's hectic, huh?
Yeah, no kidding.
Of course, make it against the white man and his technology.
Well, especially from when that video looked like it was created. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of that. People feeling that way.
There was in the 60s for sure. Yeah, that's when. I sent this to you.
Yeah.
So I mean, come on, listeners, if you want real good UFO stuff, support the show. We have a link at the end of every single show. It could be $1. It doesn't matter. $2, or whatever you want. But I mean, I would love to get access to this. I know it's kind of expensive, $400 per year. But I mean, look at this. It's all the MUFON archives, right? From 1960s to 2005.
This is for those who are catching up. This is Project Aurora, right?
Oh, sorry, Project. Yes, you're right.
Oh, sorry, Aquarius.
Project Aquarius, and Leonard Stringfield's notebooks. When he died, he gave them to MUFON, so they're making those available now. His notebooks, not his books that everyone has access to. His actual notebooks. Colonel Ruppelt, I don't know who that is. John Warren collection, the Hayden Hughes collection, the Richard Lang collection, and finally, a multi-level UFO report map from the MUFON case management system. So much in here that we can go through on the show, and just show people the evidence out there that, this is not just one thing, and it's not like it's not extraterrestrial, or that it's not real, or it's only us. All this will show that this is something real.
It's really cool that MUFON is putting this all into one spot.
Yeah, it is. It really is cool. And $400 a year, what is that? $40 a month or something?
A little bit less, because there's 12 months, not 10.
Yeah, so it's not a crazy amount of money, for that much information.
Yeah, I think what we discovered, or maybe it was just you, it's $50 a month if you pay monthly, but if you get just a yearly thing, you get a bit of a discount.
Yeah, exactly. And so I might end up doing it anyway. We'll see. And then, at least they'll give us a lot of cool info that we can share that no one else has,
I was going to say, if we ever run out of info during the week, we can always fall back on that. But we have never once ran out of info.
In the beginning, when we first started in the first few episodes, we had to go on Twitter and on UFOX, UFO Twitter, and look up what people are sharing. But now it's just every week. I mean, Newsweek, MSN, NBC, CNN, everyone is just sharing stuff. And then you have all these podcasts too, and that are huge platforms like Danny Jones. I mean, I wouldn't say he's only a UFO podcast, but he does a lot of UFO stuff.
Well, and one thing you've done a great job at is going to local news and digging up stuff there. And it seems like we've done that for like almost a month now. It's been every week, a week, month straight, being able to see there's, these local newspapers reporting on stuff that's going on in their hometown.
Yeah, good point. So so there's so much interest, and it probably gets a lot of traffic once they release these things. So they know the public is interested in this, and have always been. You sent me this. This is
I never did finish the whole thing, but this is a video that was posted to the UFO, one of the UFO subreddits on Reddit, and the title of it is CIA and NASA are trying to open the door to a spirit realm. And being interviewed is Ryan Bledsoe on the Danny Jones podcast.
Yeah, so he's Chris Bledsoe's son, who is a UFO contactee. The Defense Intelligence Agency, the CIA, NASA are all interested in this family. They go and stay with them. I mean, even what's his name? Jack Valet has stayed there. Hal Putoff, and people go to their house and they hang out and they just wait for things to happen. Things happen to these guys. So yeah, it was a cool interview. I did stop it. It's at a point because it's a long interview. It's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours long. Here he talks about so this guy named Hal Penner, which I don't know about, but I guess he's NASA. He was the right hand man of Hynek, and NASA sent him or CIA sent him over to the Bledsoes to basically say that it's bullshit, and he ended up believing them. And this is him telling the story of that. So I'll press play here.
Well, he said more to my dad than he said to me. I mean, I was younger. I think he let a lot more out to dad, but he knew it was spiritual. He indicated to my dad that it may be his family.
Yeah.
The beings, the entities, Now, here is something that I find particularly wild, but in about 2008 or 9, I would have been like 15 or 16 years old. Something he said to me and my family that for many years I've been paying attention to in my mind is that by the year 2025, the disclosure rollout would be on the table.
Wowzers.
All those years ago, 2008 or 2009. He said, the government's disclosure plan is going to be out on the table by 2025. And this is what he's saying. He said, and we're going to do it through soft disclosure, meaning there's going to be like a steady drip of information so as to not shock people. It's going to be like little bits of information coming out over a long span of time.
Right.
But, that we should know pretty much the majority of everything by 2025.
Huh.
He told me that when I was a kid.
I mean, it seems like we're on that course. Maybe we're screwing it up by pushing these government officials to release it too early, but I don't know. I don't really agree with that.
And maybe that's why. It's someone always gives a date, right? And then the date comes, and then nothing happens. But it is a cool interview because he talks about his experiences. It's his dad who's the real experiencer, right? But then his dad brought him along to these experiences. Have you heard or read about his dad's experiences, like that woman that he sees?
Yeah, kind of. I know of it a little bit. Let me just put it that way.
Okay, I think someone here says something. One of the comments. He goes, "So the woman and bull that Chris Bledsoe keeps seeing is supposed to be Hathor, Egyptian mythology, and at one point she says that the hidden one is Amun-Ra. Is she telling Chris or us that Amun-Ra, also Egyptian mythology, is our creator?" I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but that's another thought came to me is when the Bledsoe family were testing using the 2 quasi quartz material. I personally think it is a part of a UFO. Oh, here, yeah, that's right. NASA came to him. I think it was Hal Putoff, one of them, or Valet even. And they showed them this material they got from a UFO, and that they're able to this family is able to interact with this material, and then that's why this guy basically, I mean, long story. Where is it? He goes, "Why you?" And he goes, "And you must be their family." So that's why they think that they're family of these beings that they're seeing. Again, the whole spiritual thing.
It ties in. It really does feel like it ties into it somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Somehow.
Yeah.
Not saying there's not nuts and bolts thing, but
but there's something, in the spiritual world that is part of this UFO thing. That kind of seems to be the common thread we keep coming across in all of these, things we've been researching recently.
And then there's this one that came out. This is Love and Saucers.
Yeah. This guy, I love the very first thing on there is, I lost my virginity to an alien, whatever he says.
Aliens, abductions, hybrid children, relationships with ETs. It's pretty cool. I think he's believable. He's an artist.
It's good. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny.
I mean, it's strange. Like, again, why you kind of thing. And maybe he thinks that too. Like, why me? Is it circumstantial? Is this something in the DNA that they're looking for? You know, like, a family member of ours used to always say that, especially with the prophets, that because they're all one lineage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the religious prophets, and that they're basically abductees, but they all share a DNA and a lineage, and that even happens in the abduction.
Yeah, I mean, that's also something that's very common with UFO abductions and sightings, is that it seems to run in the family.
Yeah, exactly. So there's something in families that they're attracted to, or that they want to keep going. So let's take a listen to this guy. You know, it's just crazy how just normal he just talks about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was 17, I lost my virginity to a female extraterrestrial.
Hell yeah.
That's all I can say about it.
That's it?
I think that's just the intro to it.
No detail.
So I tipped her on her back, and we got on the water bed and
got in a position. This has to be New York. He's an artist though, this guy. He's got some crazy images, paintings that he does.
Yeah, just that short clip at the very beginning, he had a picture of a UFO, or not a UFO, an alien behind him that looked a lot like the one off the front of Communion.
See, so he meditates. I wonder if he used to meditate when he was 17. Because that's something too with it.
Mm-hmm.
Is meditation, and like, I guess they come in contact with these beings, or they ask for content.
Yeah,
contact.
The guy who first wrote about Men in Black, it was the same thing where he would
David opens his eyes only to see a pair of glowing eyes staring back at him. It was a little hairy guy, and David is not afraid. He is very calm. Voice: David, get dressed, come outside. Cut to David opening the front door. He sees a little hairy being, his eyes glowing. Voice: follow. David closes the door behind him and follows. They cross the field into a line of trees. There is something on the ground. It is glowing. They go over to it and go inside. There are 3 insect-like beings. A little hairy being, 2 of the little men, and a woman. She's wearing a dark blue cloak. One of the insect being comes toward David. Voice: sit. Remove clothing.
Oh my God.
Lie down.
Bow, chicka, bow,
David
wow.
lies down on the bench.
Chicka, bow, wow.
There is an orange yellowish light comes on. David is looking at the light and doesn't hurt his eyes. He is aware of the beings. They are standing over him. They are touching his body. David becomes aroused.
NSFW.
The woman is there. She looks at David and
don't listen to this at work, folks. No getting boners.
They watch as David and the woman have sex. Soon it is over.
They're watching too?
Looks at him,
yeah, they want to take notes, man.
Woman: forget. David says, forget.
And the mantids are there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, very cool.
I just like VHS. There's something about the tape rolling. Beautiful silence. I mean, it was like I was inside a vacuum or something.
There could be a car outside honking his horn, and then it would stop. And there would be nothing, absolutely nothing.
These beings didn't seem hostile.
So she's like a hybrid, I guess.
Scared the hell out
that
of me.
would be my guess, yeah.
No, there was never
hostility
at all. There's the little grays. They were small. I kind of got the impression they were workers.
Interesting.
The hairy guy.
That's very
hairy guy.
His eyes.
I mean, it's weird. I just saw an image. It's probably fake, but it looked like this. But he's much bigger, 8 feet tall. So he's just as small as the grays, but he's hairy.
Huh. So not really a Bigfoot, kind of just like a little foot, and not the dinosaur from Land Before Time.
And he's the one that got him.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah. Huh.
That always got me. A tall, thin being. He had a knob on the back of his head. He was like the person in charge.
Mm-hmm.
There was the insect being. He reminded me of a praying mantis. He was frightening, but he always spoke to me as if I was a child.
And then there was Crescent.
That's her.
I was walking in the woods.
Oh.
And I see a woman sitting under a tree. And she gets up and she starts coming toward me. I become very aroused sexually. I couldn't get my pants down fast enough.
Oh, no.
Oh my God. Okay.
I fall back on the ground and I'm lying there.
All right. We get the point.
Yeah, you at the very beginning, at the very top, you said what? No details, and now we're in the details. You're getting all squirmish. I just want to point out everything that he has spoken about. I mean, not the sex stuff, but is very common. What am I like? Other people have said the small ones seem like workers.
Yep.
You know, the insects look like praying mantis. The tall one, you said the tall one's probably a hybrid. That would most likely seems like that would be the case. But what's interesting to me is that most people with alien abductions, anyways, they don't ever see more. They usually don't see more than one type of alien.
That's true.
It's they'll have the tall grays.
Strieber did. Right.
They'll have the tall one that's in charge. With the guy said he had a knob on the back of his head.
Yeah.
Betty and Andreessen said it was the tall one, but he had antenna on the front of his head like a bee, is what she said. I think Strieber did see more than one type.
Yeah, because I remember like he talked like blue beings too, but and then he had short grays and the tall grays. I don't know about mantids, but that's always around too. That they're in charge apparently, although he said someone else is in charge. So we'll link up this documentary. It is cool. There's a lot of weird stuff in there. But
well, yeah.
What is it? A hybridization program? Because that's been in there too.
Yeah, the hybrid program. That's definitely a theory that's been kicking around for quite some time now.
Yeah, I mean, the Harvard scientist. God, why am I blanking now? I mean, he did lots of work into this, and he says from the work he's done with abductions, and he did, I think, thousands of interviews. And from his work, he said that the message he was getting is that there's a hybridization program happening. They are infiltrating our society, and that they're taking over. And he did an interview with Dolan in 2020. Before the pandemic, so it was really weird to hear him say stuff like that. I was like, "Oh my God, is that them taking over?" Obviously it wasn't. But so here's this article: Air Force vets' theory on UFOs might surprise you. Of course, it's an opinion.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, so he goes through the intro. We need to go through that. He talks about what's been happening with UAP and UFOs. He talks about Jack Valet. Where's his? Okay, here we go. So one such hypothesis for these reported objects. You want to read this?
Yeah. One such hypothesis for these reported objects and why they seem to disappear so quickly is that these craft may not be extraterrestrial at all, that they are actually time travelers from the future. These UFOs and UAPs may be us, disappearing in and out of this moment in time to another in the Earth's future. Also, that's a very common theory that's been going around for some time. This suggestion may sound like some sort of plot device out of a science fiction novel or film, but the concept is not a fantasy. Time is a human construct, a device and measuring tool to help describe our existence within our current reality. It helps us keep track of the season, determine when to plant crops, the correct moment to show up at work, or the kids need to be at the bus stop, and so forth. It's rather a helpful mechanism we've devised. All of this is carried out within the fourth dimension, of which, according to our theoretical physics, there could potentially be as many as 11. Each dimension has access to the ones below it. From our fourth dimension, we are freely able to interact with the three below it. Objects, planes, and lines. However, the fifth dimension and above are elusive to us. Mm-hmm. If we were to suddenly find ourselves within that realm, the world would look completely foreign to us, much like a fish hoisted out of its watery universe and discovering there is far more beyond. So I love the concept of higher dimensions and stuff because it is actually really scary to think about. My favorite explanation of it is, imagine you're looking at a flat surface like the top of a table, and there's all these beings on the table, but they're triangles and squares and circles that are completely flat, not spherical or cube shaped or pyramid shaped, just flat triangle squares. And all of these beings interact with each other. Basically, all they see are lines. They have left and right and line segments. That's all they can perceive because there is no up and down and flat land. But if you're a human sitting at that table and you poke your finger into their world, it would make them go crazy because now there's an up and a down.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be able to
they would see a circle show up.
They wouldn't understand it.
Right.
They wouldn't understand it. And so it's the same thing when it comes to our reality. If something from a higher dimension stuck its finger down into our reality, we'd see UFOs, we'd see aliens, Sasquatch, ghosts, whatever, because that's our human comprehension of our 3D space.
Yep.
Or, this says we exist in the 4D space because the fourth dimension is time. I've heard that before. I guess I agree with it, but I kind of don't because to me, time is a function of the 3D space.
Yeah, agreed. And Grush talks about this too. He's talking about that coming from the fifth dimension, coming down into the fourth and third dimension. There was that one incident that one vet talked about entering a UFO that was only 30 feet in diameter. But once he went in, it was as big as 2 football fields.
Very, very common amongst UFO abductions.
Yeah, so it's like a window from another dimension, like a portal, and then the portal itself looks like just a UFO.
Exactly.
It's so bizarre.
Very bizarre. It's great science fiction material for sure.
So I guess it's him. Researcher Mike Ricksacker is the author of several books, including his latest, Travels Through Time: A Walk in the Shadows. And
my favorite, photo provided.
That it wasn't them. So that's, it's not only his, but it's cool that he's a military vet, U.S. Air Force vet, and we saw their textbooks, right? What they go through. So they know a lot of stuff. They're not allowed to talk about everything. Leslie Kean, she was on the Hill. She was a co-author of that New York Times article in 2017 about the Tic Tac, about the UFO program, OSAP.
Basically, the thing that kicked off this whole UFO craze.
It did, yeah. And she has access to all these people like her and Schellenberger. So here she's saying that I guess Grush had a new interview. So they're asking her about that, and she basically verifies what he was saying by interviewing other people. So she's really cool. I'm pretty sure she has books on this subject too.
Right. It's a very good distinction. Great question, Robbie, because we have to make that distinction here. We are actually talking about non-human, which means these have been determined to be that through whatever scientific process has been used to make that determination. And all of that information is classified. There was one statement that Grush made in our story alluding to describing the types of processes that are used. I don't have it right in front of me. You guys might have it, but the problem is for us in the public is that all of the data on that is classified. But I do want to make the point that he's making a very, very distinct distinction here from, between something that's just anomalous and maybe we can't figure it out versus something that has actually been determined to be of non-human origin. There are two different things. And he's talking about the latter here, that these have actually been determined to be of non-human origin. And I have spoken to others who have confirmed the same thing.
Yeah.
So how would we make sense of this and the recent reporting around UFOs or UAPs? Is this a soft launch of clear awareness of extraterrestrial life, but maybe we don't want to tell the public everything so as to roll it out slowly and give them time to process it? Can we understand this to be a soft launch of our awareness of extraterrestrial life based on the craft that we know that is there, that has been recovered?
I mean, it's such a great question, Jessica, and it's so hard to answer that. I'm a reporter, and so whenever I get some good information that I think is important, I'll put it out there. But I don't really know if there's some kind of orchestrated campaign going on behind the scenes. It's hard for me to comment on that. And I also think, the thing about extraterrestrial life, that's such a loaded term. I mean, if we have a craft that is not of non-human origin, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's some extraterrestrial aliens that have come here and crashed it or dropped it here. Or I think the actual origin of it could be much more complicated than that. The concept of extraterrestrial life, or what the intelligence might be that's behind the creation of these vehicles, is a big unanswered question. And I don't think that's a simple one.
Yeah, Gary, that's right. Gary Nolan, Chupacabra had a clip of Gary Nolan saying, how far this goes back and how it morphs.
Mm-hmm.
All we know that's been with us, and it keeps morphing just to be better than us or superior to us in a way. Like, because we're in a technological age, then they show that they're technology and like magic. And in the 1800s, it was flying ships and whatever in BC, and even not even BC, even AD. I mean, there was still like religious stuff happening that they were depicted as gods, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I still, I mention this God about every other episode. I think we're half the phenomenon, and I think we bring in our perception of the world. So if you are, if you believe in the gods, you're going to see gods when you see something above you. If you believe in flying chariots, if you're an ancient Roman, you're going to see a flying chariot come and take down one of your people or something,
Yeah, and people have written that about this also, that it's part of us being divine too, and that we can bring entities into this reality, and they use our consciousness to do that. Like we can actually think them into reality, something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole meditation thing.
Yeah, and exactly, and that's hidden from us, And people have been saying that for a long time, that the elite want to hide away our power and use us, and so there's probably a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, I mean, how many fiction stories, no matter what media, have been written where humans have secret powers that are just untapped that we don't know about? I mean, that whole myth about we only use 10% of our brains, that's where that came from.
Yeah, even the Brazilian, the Virginia thing, right? That being that got caught, right? Isn't that what he said to the doctors? That they both had the same thought from that being, that he said, "You have no idea your potential."
Yeah,
stuff like that, and that's sad. If that
very
really,
sad.
Yeah, it is. But then again, maybe that's why there's too many of us. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And why the elite do everything in their power to keep us down.
Yeah, and then they have their private jets and their yachts and all that. But that means all of us can, right? I think.
If you think it shall be real.
Yeah. Now this interview is long, and it's Magic Eyes Only. We've been trying to get this book for a long time. It's crazy expensive, but apparently Ryan Wood, him and his dad run majesticdocuments.com. So he's re-releasing the book, Magic Eyes Only. And There's supposed to be new stuff in there. He's looking for a new forward. It's a pretty boring interview, to be honest. It was hard to find like some good clips, and I actually forgot what I stopped it on.
Oh, good.
So I have no idea.
Way to set it up properly. Let's go.
I'm really sorry. But it was excruciating to go through. I'm just letting you know that's why.
Yeah. Well, some of these interviews can be like that.
Yeah, so it's a good listen.
I mean, Henry Kissinger just died.
Right.
And
Bush Senior passed away a few years ago. Yeah.
Sorry. So he was talking about how he wants to actually goes, if anyone can do this, please do it. But I would love a book where we talk about the guys who were in charge of this before and who's in charge of it now. And then he talks about Henry Kissinger dying, and everyone knows Henry Kissinger was, like he said, up to his eyeballs in this.
Yeah, and also just up to his eyeballs.
So now,
and genocides and.
Oh yeah, no, he's a horrible person.
And depopulation, and control of food.
And of course, he lived until he was 390 years old.
I know. How old was he? He was 100, right?
Exactly. He was old as shit. I know that.
He looked like he was pulling up his pants up to his poor guy. He probably had like
not poor guy. Screw that guy.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say it because he'll probably dock us, but I have a story. I can tell you later.
Okay, good.
So let's see what Ryan says.
His papers, which were restricted at the Library of Congress Manuscript Division, hopefully are now open, that you could begin to better understand. I tried to start a correspondence with Kissinger, but it never happened. I mean, I sent him letters, but he started his career in military intelligence in and around the time of Roswell et al. And he was clearly in the loop.
Yeah, for sure he was.
And why does he go to China and have powwows with China, or have this global statesman skill or reputation? Because he can talk about UFOs and ETs with all those other high-level people and being not official government liaison in any way. And China's got to have, Russia's got to have, and several of the countries have got to have material.
Oh my God, Ryan. He's a much better writer than he is a speaker.
It's speaking's it's not easy for some people. Anyway, if you need something to help you sleep tonight, go ahead, put that on. And no, I'm just kidding.
That's a great interview, though. I love majesticdocuments.com. I have to say that I absolutely love it. Go there, read those documents. They're just fascinating to go through. They're from the 40s, even early 40s, Anyway, very cool stuff. We also covered on the show that Ryan's father sold that stuff to that one tech guy. Remember, he left the tech industry. He paid him $500,000, and he said, once they're verified, I'll produce the book, and that's the book that Ryan's talking about. So pretty cool. You sent me this. It just coincides with everything, right? In 2024.
It's showing the what's that saying? I can't remember what
it's a graph.
It's a graph. Can you click on it? It's showing. I was hoping you could resume. Yeah, I can't. What does it say? It's showing the. Okay, hold on.
Here we go.
There were 565 bank failures from 2001 through 2023, and it shows the different years. It shows their total assets versus the bank figures, and it shows it completely skyrocketed in 2007. Of course, we had that horrible collapse in 2008. And then once again, the same thing is going on, where total assets of banks completely skyrocketed 2022. And it looks like the bank failures. I don't think the bank failures are going to happen again. The U.S. government proved that they're going to bail out, whoever they can.
Most of them, Democrats.
Yep. And so here we are. But it's
and the thing I have with these graphs and patterns, it's never the same. Is the thing. Like the people in charge never repeat the same thing. It might be something else. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen the same way, And 2020, obviously, it looked like it was a bailout for everyone. They bailed out the people, and they bailed out the banks and the corporations.
They didn't even bail out the people very well.
I mean, kind of, yeah. What was it, $1,500 we got, something like that?
Man, lucky you. I think it was I think the first one.
Sorry, $1,200. Yeah,
$1,200. Yeah, so stupid.
But then California also gave like $750,
something like that,
twice or something like that. But the PPP, that's right. That's what it was. If you had a business and you had a PPP, I mean, that bailed out a lot of businesses. They were able to pay off debt. It was huge amounts. I forget how much. It was so easy to do. I remember doing it on Bank of America. It was like click, 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 next, and boom, And then getting forgiven was just as easy. It was just a wizard. And you talk about tens of thousands of dollars.
It's pretty wild stuff.
It is wild stuff. So I mean, and I'm sure it helped out a lot of people. So brace yourselves, as always, plan for the worst, right?
Yeah, and stop making fun of people who prep, who they call them preppers. Yeah. Oh, you don't want to look at this guy. He wants to be safe in case the world collapses. What an idiot.
And now, but this is all coinciding with that movie, Leave the World Behind, which we spoke about.
I stand by it. Terrible, terrible movie.
But then of course, what happened a week later? Did you hear that? So Zuckerberg now is building a bunker.
Building his bunker in Hawaii. Yeah, I did see that.
And then this, so it's all the same stuff, the same messaging. It's like predictive programming of what's to come. Again, hoping for the best, planning for the worst. I have 3 months of food, I think. Maybe 2 months. I don't know. Not too long. It's not like I have a huge thing going, but just in case.
And don't forget, if all of a sudden you hear like the lights go out and there's a bunch of shaking outside, go ahead, fill up your bathtub or multiple bathtubs if you have them, and sinks. Get some of that water that you can boil for later.
Oh yeah, it's a good point. Exactly. Well, and you can buy these great Swiss ones. They're not cheap though, but you can even these pumps, Swiss pumps. It can even have it can be really bad water, and it will purify it pretty quick.
Nice. That's a good idea.
Yeah, they're not cheap though, but still, I mean, if you need water and it's just like a puddle outside of disgusting stuff, it'll give you clean water from it. And here is The End of the World as We Know It with Whitney Webb.
Oh,
She's
good.
a great author. She's an author of some great books on like Epstein, and A Nation Under Blackmail is her book. 2 books. She's a genius, man. She's so smart, like probably too smart. She writes, all her articles are so long. I think Unlimited Hangout is .com is her website.
Oh,
so
nice. Okay.
listeners that want to go, you can go read her articles there. So here she's being interviewed. I think the best part of the interview was her opinion on AI and where it's going. So you have to listen to this. And I think she's spot on here, probably because she's a writer too. And she knows like what these people are planning and, just how terrible they are.
And for people who are watching, this is what a professional podcast setup looks like.
What are you saying?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do.
Like a more advanced search engine.
Yeah, totally. But who owns AI, right? It's pretty much Silicon Valley company. So like even OpenAI, Sam Altman's thing, that's essentially like owned by Microsoft, right? And so you have Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Oracle, all of these companies essentially owning like almost everything. And all of those companies are contractors for the military and intelligence, right? Guess throw Palantir in the mix too. And when you consider something like Palantir, they profile people. They suck up all of your data and then they profile you. And Palantir can profile like whether or not they deem you subversive or not. And what happens when AI, gets access of that and gets put in control of things like humanitarian aid, like they're talking about doing, or in charge of, the government itself, which is also talked about in the Schmidt-Kissinger book. It gets complicated. So
that's right. She said Schmidt of Google and Kissinger. So they wrote a book together about AI. So she does all that research. And what's going on in Gaza? It's AI who's choosing the targets.
Really?
So now it's choosing who lives. Yes, I'll send you that about who lives and dies. It's an AI that's picking the targets. Yeah, so now in charge of like grants, imagine like government grants or loans, who gets that kind of money, So if you don't behave or you're, like she said, you're a dissident, you're not going to get that money. It's just
it's the what's it called? It's the never mind. What does China do? Where they
social credit.
It's the social credit. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Thank you.
Exactly.
A lot of people have been talking about becoming sort of like social credit paradigm, for example. What happens if there's a big crisis, your country is like a war zone, or the economy collapses and you're dependent on humanitarian aid or some sort of aid from the government or some other group, and there isn't enough for everyone, right? And so they decide, it's fairer to put super intelligent AI in charge of it. And then that AI is like, this person's been very compliant and hasn't committed all of these thought crimes, but not you. Who is it going to decide to give the food rations to and stuff like that? That's the risk of a lot of this stuff when it gets put in charge of too many systems. And then there's like a whole other side to it when you're dealing with stuff like AI weaponry, which we're seeing being used right now in the Israel-Gaza conflict to a significant degree, where they're deciding assassination targets, suppose people that they're deeming to be Hamas affiliated, which no one knows exactly how they're determining that. I mean, it could be someone who is a second cousin of someone in Hamas or something. We don't really know because there's no transparency. But obviously, the fact that they've gone from before this AI algorithm to identifying something like 15 to 20 targets a day to identifying hundreds of targets a day, something's going on. And there's a huge issue there with what if that AI is using, social media activity to decide who lives and who dies, literally. And what happens when that kind of technology gets exported. I mean, Israel's tech sector specifically is known for testing all sorts of tech on Palestinians, surveillance tech and weapons tech, and then they export it abroad. Israel's defense tech and defense industry is massive. It's like, I think, one of the biggest parts of their GDP, right? So, this isn't just going to stay there. And AI weaponry has also been tested in Ukraine to a significant degree. And there's a lot of people, the same people that created Palantir, essentially Peter Thiel, a lot of that money is behind, the AI weaponry stuff today. That's troubling stuff. And then there's another issue of whether AI is actually accurate or not. So, they'll say, like with facial recognition, I think there was a report a few years ago in the UK that a lot of the facial recognition stuff that the Met Police and other law enforcement groups are using are insanely inaccurate. But they want to continue using it and like deepen its involvement in identifying people, whether it's like at live events and all sorts of stuff. And I mean, it was insanely inaccurate. I mean, I can't remember the exact amount, but it was like under 50% accurate. So like flipping a coin is more accurate in that case. And what happens when AI algorithms that choose who lives and who dies, are put in charge of stuff and they're like 70% accurate or less? Because, I mean, the government's really corrupt with contractors. Like, they don't always pick the best contractor for the job. So someone has connections that gets their AI in charge and they oversell their AI and say it's 90% 95% accurate, but it's not audited by an independent company, right? And so it's actually like in reality 65% accurate or something. And you're putting it in charge of like stuff that has a major effect on people's lives. That kind of stuff is happening. And I'm talking about stuff that hasn't necessarily quite happened yet, but we're headed there.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bleak.
Dude, I mean, I use AI all the time, and after listening to this, I'm like, I should probably continue writing, like really writing, and then it can like, fix it up instead of saying, because usually I would brief it. It's not my personal stuff. I wouldn't do it like for clients or stuff, but like personal projects I have, I don't have time to like, sit there and write an article or something, right? I'll brief it. I'm like, all right, this is what I want to focus on. These are the keywords I want to do, blah, blah, blah. Write it up, right? And it'll do that. And she was saying, she goes, they want to dumb down people and they don't want you writing anymore. They don't want you critically thinking. And she says that they want AI to write 98% of the content on the internet, and we know what these AIs, it's complete misinformation. I mean, in the beginning, I used to argue with them, and it's because they get their information from the New York Times, from CNN, from these sources. That's where it relies on, like Wikipedia, and we know all those are heavily censored. They're the ones who push misinformation, and that's where it's getting its information from. So it's just really scary that this is where we're headed.
It's this great, unending cycle that just will never end.
It is an unending cycle. And what if these NHIs have the same thing where they create like this like godlike AI, which is in charge of not in charge of them, but that they're dependent on, and that we're trying to mimic that, or the elite are trying to mimic that. She actually gets through with I want to get to that part where she says what they're trying to do. They're trying to entrench themselves more.
So I know on Twitter, I'm pretty sure I've interacted with AI bots now. Like, there's the very obvious ones that you can tell. There's the very obvious ones. You're like, I know that's an AI bot because they see something I post and they write a automated response to that. But there's other times where I've started a conversation on, I think that's I haven't been 100% sure it's an AI bot. In your head, you're like, there's a suspicion there. But also, I've used AI to create content sometimes if I'm in a rush, like silly things like own a football team, write my program notes. I just put in the things I want to say and let the AI write it. But clearly, if I'm doing that, people are going to be doing more advanced things. But it kind of put me in this place, Whitney, where I'm thinking, it feels like the internet is going to become unusable. Like I might just reject it.
Already is.
It's going to become very different for a lot of different reasons. So I guess the risk with using like ChatGPT or generative AI, for example, is like if you use it too much that like you can't write without it, right? That's like the stuff people need to try and manage, I think. And as far as, you know, what happens when all the content becomes ChatGPT, essentially, right? I mean, it's not really going to be very useful to people, but there's a lot of people that aren't really going to be able to notice so much the difference because it's like legible English and it kind of makes sense and, you know, but it's not going to be like human thought anymore. Though there was a problem identified, I think, several months ago that once, you know, these AI algorithms start training off of data that humans didn't produce, and it's training off of data or like content that it produced itself or another generative AI produced, its output becomes like gobbledygook, nonsensical stuff. So, I mean, it might just break itself. We'll see what happens, or if they're able to remedy that. But regardless of that, the internet is going to change a lot. And this is a very like separate thing than what we've been talking about so far. But there's a deliberate push to regulate the internet. So
before we go into that, can I ask you one more question about AI then?
Of course.
Is there any good you see in it?
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously there is some truth to the fact that Oracle and, you know, all these other companies, Amazon, what have you, because they have too much power. The people in charge have obvious problematic agendas. And they basically, at least in the US, they own the government. I mean, they basically control the government. The tech billionaires fund almost all the politicians. They have access to all of the data of the military and intelligence agencies. And frankly, the Silicon Valley companies and the national security state in the US have fused 100%. They are the same blob. You can't tell where one ends and one begins anymore. That's highly problematic. That's fascism, right?
Yep.
When corporations and government fuse. So yeah, Silicon Valley fascism has arrived, at least in the United States. I think a lot of people just haven't realized it yet. So those companies we cannot feed, and they feed off of our data. They've been saying for years, data is the new oil. So instead of the oil barons of the early 20th century, these are the data barons of now. We need to divest from them if we do not want them to have extreme entrenched power, because a lot of these guys are transhumanists with the view that humans must merge with machine, not that the humans that want to merge with machine can. Right. And a lot of this stuff becomes like highly problematic after a while, including a lot of their visions for how human society needs to be organized. You know, they're very clearly, the majority of them, not interested in democracy at all. They're interested in some sort of technocracy or some sort of authoritarian, very controlled environment.
She obviously doesn't live in the US anymore. So she lives in Chile, but she's so spot on with her research. And
great points. And I really like that she actually knows the definition of fascism. Fascism is not just when someone says something you don't like, which is now what it's equated to today. A large part of fascism is what she said: corporations and the government combining and becoming one.
Yeah, and now fascism is just thrown around. If you're just a person that wants freedom, remember they were being called like during COVID, like you were a fascist if you were against against like the mass. And
it just goes to show how brainwashed and or stupid the general American public is. If you're against the government overstretching its reach, that makes you a fascist, and that makes no sense whatsoever.
On that,
how can those people look in the mirror and go, yeah, that person's a fascist because they don't like what the government's doing?
You know what's cool though? Actually, that interviewer who was interviewing her, he said that when he's awake, and I think that's why he's interviewing her. But he was all for the mandates, the lockdowns, and all that. It made sense to him, and then he just said, "Wait a minute, this is something's going on here." And then he started. So they really overplayed their hand in COVID because it woke up so many people that would not have woken up to this. Would just, like I guess like little kids, trust their parents. It's the teenagers who go, no, rebel.
Right.
So they're growing up. You sent me this. It's so funny.
This is from one of my favorite places, Stupid Poll, where people come together to talk about how stupid politics is, essentially. But again, it is a subreddit focused on critiquing capitalism and identity politics from a Marxist perspective. But you don't just get the Marxists in there. You get a wide range of people, and everyone's generally pretty polite.
Anyway, good for you that you don't have an echo chamber that you go out, and see the other perspectives, because Marxists usually are for big government and government control. So,
and you'll see. I mean, a lot of people on the sub are truly Marxist, and they do believe in that. They do believe the government should step in and take a larger role. But what they have great umbrage with is how they do it, and they're always making fun of like, they can't give us free health care, but thank God if you get a ticket, they have to use your proper pronoun or whatever. New law in California, by the way. I don't know.
If only we get the right people in government.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's and they're trapped in that. You know, humans are not angels, or our system is not angelic.
But anyway, I mean, this article, you're right. But this article is great because it just goes to show the disconnect that the Democrats have with Mr. Biden.
Yeah, and here it is. Here's the MSNBC article. Taylor Swift could save Joe Biden in 2024. No, seriously.
It's so bizarre seeing this. I mean, I just saw an ad the other day where Obama was like it was Biden. He was talking about something. Goes, and then I'll have my friend come out and talk. And Obama had to come out and talk for him. And it's like, this is the guy you guys want to be president who can't even speak for himself. You have to back him up with celebrities.
I mean, if you remember when Trump won in 2016, the Democrats were bringing in the entire music industry, right? They had Beyonce on that. It was, and I gotta say this: when they had their events, they looked amazing. They spent a lot of money on how these events looked. It was just crisp, it was clean, and they had all these elite celebrities there, and none of that worked. And I think that's where they really lost it. Is like the people are just revolting, and they're revolting. Yeah, they don't want us anymore. So here they are again, thinking it's going to work this time.
It's just like, speaking of COVID, when all of those celebrities are in their mansions and they're going, "Oh, this is evil. We're locked in our homes. What are we going to do?" And it's like, you're living in like a 6-digit, no, I'm sorry, like an 8-9-digit building.
Easily. Yeah.
And the rest of us are struggling to eat.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Exactly. They're outside of their pool and like giving me like no one cares.
Or they had that cringy thing where they all sang "Imagine" by John Lennon. Remember that?
God, that was so bad. That was
put a lot of people. That put a lot of people off celebrities. It was so funny to see.
It completely ruined them. I mean, but see, so not this. I'm shocked reading this because apparently she made $1 billion from her tour this year, and more. Look at this. More than half of all Americans count themselves as Swift fans.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For people who've been watching the NFL this year or Chiefs fans, first of all, go fuck yourself. Second of all, Taylor Swift is dating a player on the Chiefs, and like every chance they get, whoever's broadcasting the game will show her reacting to stuff in the stands. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Wow.
It's like Dave Chappelle had a really funny part in his stand-up when they were he was talking about 9/11. One of the news anchors goes, "Well, what is, let's see what Ja Rule has to say about this." And he was making a joke about how, like, I mean, that's just the culture we have today, like where all these people don't give a shit about what celebrity says about what, because they're nobody. They're people who can pretend well.
Exactly. Swifties spend approximately $93 million per show.
She's so generic. I don't understand how she got so popular. And she's got I'm gonna rip on Taylor Swift now. So this is what our podcast has come to. She has horse mouth, first of all. She's got board body.
Where is she? How did I'm showing her?
Because there's nothing to show. She's a ghost. Yeah. She turns sideways and you can't find her.
She is. Yeah, I think her knees click.
Oh God! I mean, she looks like a scarecrow.
Look at these guys on MSNBC just like talking about ha ha ha. What a panel! I don't even want to put the thing on. There she is. Oh, she looks different.
Well, no, she's photoshopped and in a whole lot of makeup on time. Look, they have to like cock her hip at a 90-degree angle to make it look like she's got curves. I don't think Taylor Swift is attractive. I think she has some skill, but I think her success is not merit-based. That's for damn sure.
At least she shaves her armpits.
Yeah, well, or it could have been photoshopped out. I don't know what Travis Kelce's into.
So they think that she can save the Democrat Party and Biden.
Well, and the funny thing, I just saw that thing up there. It sends right wingers into a tailspin, as if anyone on the right gives two shits what Taylor Swift has to say.
Of course, yeah, just make fun of her. Why Time chose Taylor Swift as its Person of the Year? Oh, what a surprise! They always give each other awards too.
Mm-hmm.
Swift is quite clearly a Democrat.
No shit.
In 2018, she endorsed 2 Democratic candidates in her adopted home state of Tennessee. I thought Tennessee was like a red state.
Well, she just said she supported the Democratic candidates. I mean,
oh.
The other thing is, if I remember correctly, I think her dad worked in the like music industry already. Like, so she wasn't this like up and comer that she got lucky or something. I mean, she was literally like.
You're right. Mm-hmm. I think both her parents now.
I think it is both her parents. Yeah.
Yeah, both her parents. So she was writing songs in the beginning. They brought her into the studio and all that. So, Taylor Swift can beat Trump again in 2024. That's going to be crazy.
When did she beat Trump the first time?
Yeah. No, they have to cheat.
Was Taylor Swift president and I just forgot about those 4 years or something?
I know. Like, what kind of headline is that? But it is MSNBC, known for its
liberal bias.
You're right. All right. So usually we don't cover politics, but it was funny. It wasn't too negative.
It's more of just our politics here in the United States has become just embarrassing at this point.
It is, and it was great because it followed you saying that that we're a dumbed down population, and I don't think that's really true. I think there is a faction that has been extremely dumbed down. The ones who completely stayed with the program after 2020. That's the faction that they're speaking to, and I don't think there's large amount of people. It might be kids.
Yeah, I don't know. But as we know, kids don't vote.
That's true. I'm sure the Democrats would love to lower it to like 16 or something.
They've tried.
So the Hill again. They're covering the UFO subject a lot. So Schellenberger has a new report. And he came and did an interview with them, a crazy interview. I mean, just insane, the stuff he talks about. So, yeah, let's give this one a listen. Probably not all of it.
Yeah.
Wow, we're at 120 already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Author Michael Schellenberger writes that multiple sources have confirmed whistleblower David Grush's claim that the United States government possesses a number of non-human vehicles. These sources are, quote, either high-ranking intelligence officials, former intelligence officials, or individuals who could be verified as being involved in the United States government UAP efforts for 3 or more decades, according to his reporting. Schellenberger writes that the individuals said they had seen or been presented with, quote, credible and verifiable evidence that the U.S. government and U.S. military contractors possess at least 12 or more alien spacecraft, some of which they shared with AARO or the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, quote, which AARO has refused to provide Congress. The office reportedly said it has not discovered any verifiable information, end quote, because it does not have the authority to verify it and may not want to verify it. Joining us now to discuss is Twitter Files author and author of Apocalypse Never, Michael Schellenberger. Thank you for being with us, Michael.
Good to be with you.
So, confirmation, aliens are real. This is exciting. What do you make of the baker's dozen of alien spacecraft that we have?
Well, I think it's worth just pointing out that this is very shocking. The whistleblower in question, David Grush, used the term ontological shock, which is a little bit of jargon, but what he means is that...
Oh, didn't it say like June or something like that? Although, unless this has been reshared, because they're acting like Grush just came out, and that was this summer when that happened. So, what's happening at the end here? Yeah, so I think this is an old one for some reason, but it's being shared again. Joe Rogan does a 180 on UFO disclosure. Now believes it's real. He used to always. His logo is a saucer.
Yeah.
Now believes it's real. Says the boring, slow, bureaucratic nature of this disclosure adds to its credibility.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I definitely think he's thought it's. At least there's something to it. I have a hard time believing he was thinking the whole thing was fake until just now.
Yeah, he's not. He's just.
Let's get right into it. Yeah. If he does have firsthand knowledge, he's not allowed to say it until now. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Because I was also under the impression he didn't have firsthand knowledge. So he did, I guess, on the podcast say that he has some firsthand knowledge. Maybe I didn't catch that.
He did say it very quick.
Yeah, he said it very quick.
You know what? Edging. What edging is, of course. Yeah. That's what this feels like. It feels like BDSM level, getting your cock right on the precipice of coming and then slowing down and then edging and then slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
It's so frustrating. When we talked about disclosure in the old days, the dream of disclosure, no one thought it would be this like
slow drip,
bureaucratic,
right?
Slow fucking drip. It's so frustrating. I don't pay attention to it anymore.
But isn't that like, if you knew anything about human psychology, and I'm sure they do, wouldn't that be the very best way to release this stuff?
Yeah.
To make it irrelevant?
Yeah.
That people don't care about it anymore because it's so boring?
Totally.
They made the most exciting thing boring.
They fucking ruined it.
Government.
They did it with bureaucracy.
They just fucking they just signal jammed it. Now it's just annoying.
Now
don't care.
I'm back in. Now I think it's real.
You do?
Because I think that's what they would do. If you did have something real and you wanted to release it,
slow drip.
Yeah, slow drip it, and people are goofy. You just give them time and they forget or they don't care anymore.
Talk about your redactions and your fucking permissions and just cover the whole thing up in a bureaucratic web of linguistic garbage.
Yeah.
And then people just get annoyed. And when they do show up, no one's even going to care anymore.
Wouldn't you do it that way?
I guess.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
Let's get right into it.
Yeah.
Oops.
And,
Jamie, pull that up.
So I never thought I know he said like, oh, it's all a psyop. I didn't believe him.
What he said at the end, he goes, "I'm back on board," which implies that I could see that, I suppose. It was so disheartening to see all the stuff that we were told was coming out, and then it wasn't, and then that would make you think, okay, this is a psyop, and then to see, all the proof, and then being like, yeah, okay, this actually does make sense.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you got here?
So this is from Richard Geldreich on Twitter. In 1953, Adamski wrote about small drone-like devices used for observation. He also claimed that these devices were being used to observe atomic tests, which we now know. Did he make all this stuff up in 1953? If so, quite creative for the early 50s. So he goes, they were about 3 feet in diameter, of shiny, smooth material and shaped rather like two shallow plates or hubcaps, turned upside down and joined at the rim so that the central part was a few inches thick. I learned, however, that such discs varied in size from about 10 inches to 12 feet in diameter, depending on the amount of equipment carried. They contained highly sensitive apparatus, which not only guided each little saucer perfectly in its desired path of flight, but also transmitted back to the mothership full information on every kind of vibration taking place in the area under observation: sound, radio, light, and even thought waves. It sounds like the stuff we have now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is. See, this is why they always say science fiction becomes science fact eventually.
Yeah. He said he was an experiencer, right? And people do argue against that.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking at a flight deck. 6 women worked quickly and nimbly as they fed instructions and flight data to the waiting discs. I remember noting the resemblance to 6 women playing in a pantomime, a silent concerto, commented Adamski. It was fascinating to see how, when a disc had received full instructions, one of the trap doors would open and the disc would slide smoothly into the orifice passing through airlocks before hurtling away into outer space on its mission. Just crazy stuff. I mean,
so cool.
It is really cool. 1953. And we're seeing drones do that kind of stuff too. I mean, and now our phones can basically do all that. I mean, they don't fly, but I'm saying like
give it time.
They sense everything. They sense everything, right? They listen to everything. They know what angle they are at because they have those tiny gyroscopes in there. Or okay, forget that. What about these mood rings now that they have? It has everything in there, like how many steps you're taking, what your temperature is, what your mood is, you know, and that's very tiny. Imagine gyroscopes, how big they used to be. Now they're fitting into rings.
Yeah, I mean it's that thing we were talking about earlier with the internet and quantum, mechanic. Everything is just growing exponentially. And in fact, speaking of phones, and we've known this for a while. You mentioned something when we were together for Christmas dinner or lunch. Really early old person dinner. You had mentioned I can't remember what it was, and I don't even remember what the ad was, but you had mentioned some sort of product or something that I had never heard of or seen, and then later I kept seeing ads for it on YouTube, and I was just like, what the hell, man?
It was listening.
Yeah.
I mean, now I don't know if they're even listening to thoughts for some reason, because I would think something, I would see ads for it. How does that happen? I'm in digital marketing in some sense, you know, and you can only figure out what people are browsing, what they're searching for, and then you can target them, right? Or even listening, right, by the mic. But how do you do if someone just thinks something? I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, that's scary stuff. It would not surprise me if we're there already. I hate to use the phrase. This is literally 1984, but here we are.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. So we'll link up everything as usual. Read the entire page that Adamski wrote. I really thought he was debunked, but that's just crazy. Maybe he was part of the military back then. I don't know. Maybe he was a military.
Yeah, it could have been. Or it's a psyop.
Psyop, yeah. Oh man, psyops. We've been so psyoped. Everything's a psyop.
Yeah.
And that's what hurts me about the truth community too, or like the conspiracy community. And now that they unfortunately they think all this is just a psyop, which it yes can be, because it has been used to psyop the people. I mean, I mean the UFO subject, but historically it wasn't like that. You know, that's what made the government clamp down and make the National Security Act so they can control the psyop.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe they were being psyoped.
You know, I don't even know what the word psyop means anymore.
It doesn't sound like a word.
No.
So you shared this with me.
No, I think this is dumb, but it's funny. It's a picture of Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill side by side. It's one of those photos that's cut in half and you can show half of one person's face and half of another. Andrew Jackson's portrait on the $20 bill and Epstein's face from some paparazzi photo or whatever. And the similarities are quite striking. Again, I think this is more goofy than anything else. This helpful person circled all the spots that seem too coincidental. And I will admit, it's a very wild photo.
It is a wild photo. And people don't know how he made his billions, right? They still don't know how the guy had his billions and how he had islands. And I mean, we know why he had access to like celebrities and politicians, because that was his job.
Yeah.
Honeypots. But yeah, Andrew Jackson. And it's crazy because wasn't he the one who was against the banks? Like on his deathbed, he goes, I beat the bank, the Second National Bank of the US. I think he dissolved it.
Well, clearly from this picture, he wasn't on his deathbed at all. He was faking his death.
Pornhub blocks access in Montana. We had a conversation about this.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
No, it's just because Montana passed a new law saying you have to have age verification to access Pornhub. Pornhub basically and they've been in this situation many times, different countries, different states. Basically, they said, okay, we're just not, if you have an IP address originating in Montana, we're not going to allow you to see it. It's been challenged, I think, under the First Amendment, freedom of speech and expression. But the thing that you and I talked about, which I think is more important than what this article is talking about, is just how much of an influence porn is having on children nowadays.
Yeah, it's disturbing, and you know, not a lot of parents actually care what their kids do online, which is crazy. I mean, there's many tools that you can filter out these things. Yeah, they can go around them, but it's a pain in the ass. I mean, you don't want a kid searching something by accident or opening something that was sent to them, or so you want tools to like block these kind of things. But many of these kids just get influenced, or they watch it really early, like at 8 years old. As early as that, and it messes with their development and messes with their way of seeing the other sex, like women, and because obviously in porn, they're just
they're not representations of what women are like in the real world.
Of reality. No, of course not. Right. So it gets kids addicted. It ruins their way of having relationships with women. Obviously, it's if people can't have relationships, then you're not gonna have marriages. You're not gonna have kids. So
yeah, I mean, it's a symptom of a larger. Well, it's creating larger and larger issues. I mean, I keep seeing articles about how young men, I think it's under 30, or like more than it's a crazy amount. Like 60% are single or have been single their whole lives. But stuff like access to pornography means, I don't have to get a girl. I can just go and watch this, and and then I don't have to talk to this girl. I can go home and hop on the internet. And so it stunts your development completely, and it just makes you a socially awkward weirdo.
And that's why a lot of these states are doing this. They're noticing this is happening, and they're trying to make these laws. And all this is saying is a new state law that requires websites to verify the age. That's all they're asking to do. Just verify their age. And what they do, they just block it.
Yeah. I mean, anyone who knows how the internet works knows that porn is, what is it? If they got rid of there's a really funny quote from the show Scrubs. If they got rid of all the porn on the internet, there would only be one site left, and it would be bringbacktheporn.com. But what my point is, there's more than one option to find porn, but that's not the point.
No, it's not the point, and it's really easy to verify age. You don't need to have an ID. I mean, I have e-commerce sites, and some of them require people to be over 18, and mostly all they have to do is put their date of birth, and these tools can verify that that's the person. I don't know how they do it. It's public information, but it might be a cost thing.
I doubt it's even a real verification, because it has because I used to, before it was outlawed in California, I used to buy all my vapes online and have them shipped to me, and all you'd have to do is put in your date of birth, but you're not. Oh, I guess you know what? No, that was after. I was going to say you have to put in your driver's license. That part is verified, but just to view the website, it just brings up how old are you or what's your date of birth. And
no, I'm not talking about that. No, I'm talking about actually verify. So it uses public information, your computer, your IP address, and if it can't figure it out, it'll ask you to upload your ID.
Interesting.
But in the very rare instances, it uses public information to do that. But I think since they have millions of people on here, it might cost them millions of dollars, and maybe that's why they block it. But still, it's just wrong to show this stuff to kids, because it's not the porn from the 70s. I mean, this is like they just keep pushing the envelope. I mean, it's just, and it's free, and it's just ridiculous. Kids should not have access to it.
Well, and just really quick, that's what I was trying to get at earlier. Is just it's everywhere. It's so, and you can get it on your phone, computer, whatever.
Right. And these kids have phones, and they can have access to these sites. And I mean, we've had conversations with parents in the area here, and the stories I heard the stories I heard were horrific, and these are 11-year-olds.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember at what age I first saw a boob on the internet, or maybe it was a movie or something. I was definitely older than 11.
I mean, yeah, I think I was around, I think 12, but I didn't have the internet when I was 12. Someone showed me a picture in the bathroom. I was like, oh wow, and it was just boobies.
Internet, but now it's just the internet was such a different beast back then. It would take 30 minutes to download a picture of anything, not just porn.
Yeah, and videos would take forever to load up.
I don't know if I want to share this. I have a just to show.
Do it.
Okay, all right, fine. So when I was growing up, we'd have to take the trash and the recycling down the alleyway near our house. It was like, it was like 2 or 3 blocks away. It was like the community drop-off center. And it was one of those things where they were big enough where you could squeeze into. And me and my buddy, I don't know how we figured this out. We figured out you can squeeze in there and dig through the magazines and look for dirty magazines.
That's amazing.
And I don't even know if there is like porn magazines nowadays.
Nowadays, no. I mean, Playboy shut down.
Did they? Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they're gone because no one was.
So these are the lengths at 13, 14 years old you'd have to go to get porn, and now it's just you open your phone in the bathroom.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have stories too. I'd have to go in the garages and open up I'm not going to say, but but yes, we'd have to go digging to find it. So I mean, you're not going to stop boys from doing it, but I'm saying the stuff that's on there just freely open like that, it can really damage the brain. It really can.
And it does. There's been numerous studies that proved how bad it is for you.
Yeah, and it's because they keep pushing the envelope. I mean, yeah. So we have a few things left. This is from a channel called Bruce Sees All. Canadian. He's been looking at the moon for almost a decade now.
I've heard of this guy.
He's pretty shadow banned on the moon. I mean, on YouTube.
He does not like the moon.
But he's showing evidence of civilization on there.
No, I know. It's funny.
So let's take a listen.
Not even putting ads on this. I want to share this. You're looking at a city. This is the clearest view the entire world has ever seen of the surface of the moon. Over to the right, there's a giant tower. Yeah. Over to the right, that crater, dead center over the black circle there. In the center of that crater, there's a tower, a whole city of objects and walls constructed. I'm going to zoom up too. The bases on the left that have the same reflectivity as the surface. This is the most revealing image. Let's zoom up to see this. Look close up, the difference. Those objects are so well defined. The crater right behind the arrow in the center, there's a tower at the end of the crater where it goes in the ground. Keep your eye where I am right there and look behind it, the giant wall. That's the oxygen blue line. There's a crater with the hole. There's the wall and the city. And there's a towering objects. You're looking at different objects on the surface. I showed this at the stream. And I showed this a couple of years ago. It's not normal that the world's not reacting to this. We have the proof right in front of us. We don't need the Pentagon or the government to come up with a conclusion that, hey, these UFOs are this is not even part of the UFO story. It's not part of Corbell's story. It's not part of David Grush's story. It's not even part of Bob Lazar's story. This is my story. And I have the proof. There are bases on the moon. I've showed over 100 different types of bases on the moon, and they all have the same setup, pattern, and idea. Look, the tower right there where I'm pointing, that towering off the surface, another one at the back, walls and whatnot, and you can see the crater right in the center with the oxygen blue line.
Crazy. He's got a cool channel though, and he does show a lot of UFOs that could be like a mile long, just like jetting past.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen? It was I think it was proven to be a hoax. It was footage, quote unquote footage from a secret moon landing. Like it was like Apollo 17 or 18, and they found a UFO with the aliens in there. It was it was really well done. I mean, I know it's essentially fiction, but
it is.
I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Me too. And I remember it was well done too. Like you said, like that they had the space patch on there. They showed the craft in the crater, right? And they went and got it, and there was like this old ancient goddess or something.
Yeah,
right?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. That was really cool. Of course, I believed it when I first saw it.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah,
I want to believe.
See, again, the internet sucks because I thought of that and I like typed into my phone, secret UFO landing Apollo mission or something like that.
And it's not there anymore.
No, I can't. Never seen before footage of Apollo 15, and it's just them driving a cart. Like that obviously is not what I'm looking for. Planting the flag on the moon, not what I was looking for.
They're ruining it, man. I mean, if it was fake, why would they hide that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now the internet is completely sanitized. You can only see what you are told you can see, unless you go to the dark web.
I mean, it's exactly. I was thinking about that today. The dark web, it's not a good place to go, but they have a lot of this stuff there, like UFO stuff and leaked material. So I might, because you need the Onion browser, a VPN, and some other stuff to get.
Yeah, I was going to say, you and I sit down so you can show me how to do all that. Because I remember in college, I remember Onion, and I tried figuring it out. Like, I barely could figure out how to torrent stuff. I should have been better at computers.
I mean, you need a VPN. You need encryption software, which is free now anyway.
And VPNs are cheap.
VPNs are cheap. You just do what do you call it? Proton. It's free. Proton VPN.
See, but I don't get it. Like, I don't know. Like, is it software? Like, I don't know how to work it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on your desktop, it's software.
So is it like opening up Google Chrome, but it's just called something else?
No, you'd have to
see. This is why I want to. You don't have to explain.
Okay,
it
yeah,
now,
all right.
But this is why I want you to show me. So I don't
like
accidentally send my info to the FBI or China or something.
Right. Yeah, and you have to have the VPN set up where like every like half hour it changes the IP address. Yeah. So here's the moon. Okay, this is and
that looks like Earth.
This came up. Yeah, this is Earth, but you'll see now since we're talking about the moon. And so this is India's satellite showing Earth, but then look, and it's just so apparently that's the moon. See how small it is?
Is it on the backside of Earth?
Yeah, I don't
like. I'm thinking from this view, like it's basically if it went to the left a couple more miles or whatever, it'd be behind the Earth.
And then it went away, and then I think
it
reversed it.
Just went behind the planet.
So you're saying if it was here, it'll be bigger?
Yes.
No, see, look,
no, I don't.
It stays the same.
I don't. Well, okay,
I don't understand because I want to show you this now.
Okay.
So NASA captures the moon crossing the face of the Earth for the second time. Look at this one.
Yeah.
Why is it so different?
Because that's what I'm saying. This is up close, and the other one's far away.
But then,
I
guess I'm maybe not simulating it right in my brain.
I don't.
That's probably a possibility.
I'm trying to figure out what you're seeing.
The Earth looks so huge.
This
looks so small. Yeah.
Because it's on the other side of the planet.
But it's not matching this one.
Well, I don't know. I still don't see where your cursor is right now.
Yeah.
Where it was. Like put it like if it was on the other side of the planet, it'd be hidden, but if you move it off to the right, it's on that side of the planet, so it looks a lot smaller.
Okay.
Plus there's things like different lenses and like with cameras, they always say the camera adds 10 pounds, and that probably is a lot more for the moon.
Well, this looks more realistic to me than the NASA one.
I think that NASA photo is very misleading. That one. I think that one's really misleading. That does look extremely fake.
It does.
I'm assuming they did a lot of that photo editing stuff, because obviously the dark side, it's not like the satellites have, maybe they do, I don't know, like a giant flash. I don't think a flash would be big enough to capture the moon like that.
Yeah.
So they would have to brighten it somehow, you know what I mean?
Right. Especially that the Earth is so bright.
Or it's in between, the satellite itself is in between the sun and the moon. I honestly don't know.
Right. But the Earth looks so massive here and the moon looks tiny.
Again, far away. That's all I think this is.
But comparing it to this one, no, I know, I understand that. But then comparing it to this one, but I guess, you're far away from the Earth too. You're much farther from the Earth, but then closer to the moon.
I don't know. I think this is just weird perspective.
All right,
or a ton of Photoshop. I don't know. I don't know what they do over there at NASA. Never a straight answer.
All right, we are finishing up here. Scientists developed portable nuclear reactor with amazing feature, transformative for our economy, industry, and community. So
yeah, but they had that nuclear accident in Russia, so we can't use nuclear power.
Well, this is just this is how small it is.
No, I know. I just hate that that's the excuse as to why we're so avoidant of using nuclear power.
You're right. I mean, they sit there and it's technology we have now. It'll let us still keep our modern lifestyle without sacrificing anything.
Plus,
and there's no carbon footprint.
Cleaner and much more efficient than wind and solar.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wind and solar is not going to work when there's no wind and no sun. But this will always work.
Like, do you see how much space they have to take up for the wind, like wind power to actually be worth it?
So guess how many houses this thing will power up?
Oh my God, a whole city probably.
Yeah, I mean, or a whole neighborhood. So it's 5,000 homes. That tiny thing does 5,000 homes.
That's so cool. See, why aren't we?
Yeah,
man,
for 8 years.
We should go full on nuclear, man. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, the breakaway civilization did. You know, they haven't. They used it on their spaceships and for rockets. For they just don't like humanity, man, because this will keep us flourishing and still living a modern lifestyle. But solar and wind, we have to eat bugs and you have to have brownouts and blackouts and sleep in pods, right? Yeah, exactly. They just don't like humanity, and that's why they want solar and wind. But I'm glad this is Canada. Canada's investing in this.
Yeah, good for them. Oh, yeah. Canada, socialist paradise of North America.
Where's Trudeau been? The internet used to make fun of him every single day.
Trudeau,
yeah.
I just want to say, on behalf of someone who grew up an hour from the Canadian border, Canadians are no better than Americans, and I hate that they have this. Everyone thinks that they're super nice and polite. Of course, there are nice Canadians. You know what? There's also dickhead Canadians too.
Oh yeah. Have you been to Montreal? My God.
Oh no, that's a different world altogether.
Holy crap! Something's wrong with those people. Sorry, if there's any. We have like 10% of our listeners are Canadians. Anyone from Montreal? I lived in Montreal, so please, give me a break there. I lived there for a year and a half.
Oh, Canadian listeners, don't listen to him. He's doing the American thing where they go, "Oh, I'm not racist. I have a black friend."
Actually, the best pot in the world was in Canada.
Of course.
Man, that stuff got me so ripped. Oh man. Yeah, those were the days.
Anyway. Hi Canada.
Hi Canada, yes. Hello Quebec. Hello Toronto. I've been in Toronto too. I would love to go Vancouver. Vancouver's like a dream of mine to go.
Yeah, all the pictures I've seen makes it look really cool. Plus, apparently, like every film in the movies or every film in the world is filmed there.
Oh yeah, that's true. X-Files was filmed there.
Yeah, apparently it's like such it's such an interesting city that like any other city in the world looks not just like it, but it can pass for it.
Yeah. Well, the food's supposed to be fantastic there. If you're a foodie, Vancouver is supposed to be something else.
Yeah, it's super like international, isn't it?
Yeah. And Vancouver Island, you can see there's like it's the edge of the world, and there's like whales you can watch. It's just supposed to be just heaven on earth.
That's cool. We should do
China.
We should do a Canada trip. Anyway, yeah. China.
I wouldn't mind that. Like we can just drive, up the coast.
That's good. It'll take a couple days, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, still be a good trip though.
Yeah.
China develops the world's most powerful hypersonic engine that could reach Mach 16.
Good God. I thought humans couldn't go past Mach. Well, I guess this wouldn't be for humans.
Good point.
Isn't Mach 9 like the fastest a human has gone before?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if these things were electromagnetically charged or something, and they have like their own gravity, yeah, it wouldn't matter. But you're right. If it's a rocket, it has to be unmanned. Has to be. So Chinese hypersonic weapons. Oh, dude, you can't stop that. If it has a nuke on it, forget it. I mean, referred to as revolutionary, the new air-breathing engine should carry an aircraft to 18.6 miles altitude and travel around Mach 16. If true, at this velocity, intercontinental flights should take only hours and consume far less fuel when compared to conventional jet engines. Intercontinental flights? So wait a minute. I guess if you're up at 18.6 miles and there's no gravity, maybe it's easier.
That's not how it works. It's physics. It's just like in space, you can simulate gravity just by moving your vehicle. Because it's like, imagine like you're in a fast car and you get pushed back in your seat because of how fast you're going. Imagine that times like 100,000. Mach 10 speed is impossible for humans. G-forces would crush you. So I don't know what they're going to do with that Mach 16 there. Maybe
Probably
it's just like a
missiles.
test. You can just say, "Oh, this thing can go Mach 16." I mean, not practically, but it can.
Right. So yeah, I mean they're going along. I mean, we must have something like that too. Oh yeah, one last thing. So here's space weatherman, space weather news. Look at this beast, a Titanic coronal hole. Image, Solar Dynamics Observatory, 211A view, ionized iron UV emission in the corona. So he goes here, the large dark, you see it right here?
Mm-hmm.
The large dark portion of the sun's atmosphere in UV light is caused by powerful magnetic fields pushing out the plasma in that area that would otherwise be UV luminescent. The interplanetary magnetic field from coronal holes stretch throughout the solar system and can directly connect to the planets. This one is certainly powerful and creates an enhanced risk for large seismic activity this weekend.
Yeah, New Year, more earthquakes, baby.
Right, and then of course, what's happening? We have this happening on our California coast. Have you seen this?
No, giant. We have giant waves and stuff. Oh, giant and wind. Wow,
it's hitting piers.
Ooh. God, I would not be surfing out there. Not that I can surf.
20-foot waves.
Oh, that board was in the lip.
Well, boys, I fucking sent her a little too fucking hard, but
look at that. That was the pier. Oh.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Whoa.
Oh, this guy's getting crushed. Yep, kaboom. Poor guy.
Look at this.
Oh my God.
Dude. Oh my God. That's scary.
That is scary. I got to get to a higher elevation.
Oh man. So I would say the best thing we had this year was probably the UFO congressional hearings on Capitol Hill. Obviously, we're not going to play any of it because it's way too long. But
we should have done a year in review for this, but it's too late now. We're already 2 hours
in.
Yeah,
and I mean, this was the biggest one, right? And this show, I mean, not this show, but it actually, when this came out, is when our show really took off on podcasts, on Spotify, on Apple, and that's where the public interest really peaked. Is when this congressional hearing happened, and we were there covering it. And it's kind of tapered off, but we still have this. It's like when a market fixes itself, right? You have a spike and then it corrects itself. So we have corrected now, and we love all of our listeners, everyone watching us on YouTube, even the Canadians. I think the UK the UK is the number 2. We have I can get you the actual. It's US obviously is 80% of our traffic, and then UK is number 2, or is it Canada is number 2?
Well, hopefully over there in the UK they've got a license to listen to our show. Sorry, we made fun of Canadians.
I know.
Americans are fat and stupid. There, it's all equaled out, and now no one can get mad at us, or everyone can get mad at us. Either one.
If we go to our analytics, which is looking good, by the way, and we go to our our audience, so we have 60% are US, 15% are the United Kingdom, 8% is Canada. So Ontario is number 1. Hello, Ontario.
Oh,
no. Alberta is 25%. British Columbia is 20%. Quebec at 4%. All right. They're not going to be mad at me. 4%. That's nothing.
Also, I think it's pronounced Quebec.
Quebec.
You get really mad if you don't pronounce it right. All right, Canadians, this one's for you. The show Letterkenny, one of my favorites, just ended. Really sad after 11 seasons. One of the best shows ever. But Shorzy's coming out, it has been out. 2 seasons are out. Also, one of my favorite shows of all time is a show called 19-2, and it's about a police force in Quebec.
In Quebec, huh?
Yeah, and
really,
it's very dramatic. It's like a Canadian. Like, remember that show, The Wire?
Yeah, I love that show, man. It's one of my favorites. I love it. It's so cool.
1902's I would say a little bit more on the dramatic side, not dramatic, like drama, like person drama.
Yeah.
But it's really good. I would check that out.
Oh, cool. Did you watch the movie Gran Turismo?
Yes. I don't remember much of it though.
Oh, I didn't know it was old. I thought it was new.
Maybe
I just watched it.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I could have sworn I watched that.
Okay, so it's the game Gran Turismo, but
right, the racing game.
Yeah, so those guys, it's a true story. It's a completely true story. They took guys that were experts at the game Gran Turismo, which is because it's a very accurate simulator.
Oh no, I didn't see that. I saw the trailer for it. Oh, I know. Now that you mentioned what the plot is about, I remember being like, "Yeah, okay, right." Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good. Really, I was shocked of how true it was. I'm like, no way, this is real. And I looked it up. There's only one thing that they exaggerated, or sorry, not exaggerated, but they had it in a different timeline. Other than that, it's all true, and it's crazy. It's insane.
That's awesome. I'll have to check it out. A movie you have to check out, because I know you'll like it, because it's all about, we talked about AI today, and we've talked about AI a lot the last couple months.
Yeah.
The movie called The Creator.
The Creator.
It's on Hulu, and I will just say it's about AI, but you will really like it because it brings in a lot of themes that we even touched on today.
Did you ever get into Westworld?
Oh yeah, I've seen all of it. I've even seen the original movie and Future World, which was the first season.
It was Michael Crichton, that genius.
Yes, absolute genius. For those of you who don't know Michael Crichton, he also wrote Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And a ton of other books, and he was very smart and scientific in all of his books. He didn't just say, like, I remember this book he wrote called The Prey, which is, I think, my favorite of his. It's about nanotechnology, and he doesn't just say, and then there were nanobots. He literally, in frightening detail, explains how the nanobots are created, and it goes. Most of it went way over my head, but the actual story is really cool.
He's so smart. I remember when the first book I read of his was Jurassic Park, and I was a teenager, and that's when I really was my first, I guess, introduction to how corporations work and what they can do with the amount of. I was just fascinated by it. You know, what a great author, and a lot of his. The Abyss is his too, by the way. That movie was based on his book.
The Abyss is pretty good. Also, there's two deep water movies that are my favorite. One is called Sphere. I think it came out really close to the time when The Abyss was released. It was like The Abyss, and Sphere was also a book. I cannot remember the name of the author. But it's about, you actually would really like Sphere too, because it's about these people. The US government finds a UFO on the bottom of the ocean, and they put a team together to go find this UFO.
Oh, so it's very similar to The Abyss. They
right.
always do that. Hollywood always does that, huh? They just all of a sudden, if they have any inkling or hear like something's coming out, they do one that's similar to it.
Yep. And then a movie that came out somewhat recently, I think 2020 or so, it's called Underwater, and it's got the girl from Twilight in it. And I know that's not a huge sell for anyone listening to this show, but she's fine in it. But that's Lovecraftian horror, and that's my favorite type of horror, so I love that movie. But yeah, check out The Creator.
I will. I definitely will. We'll do it.
Well,
that will do it for 2023.
Yeah. Man, what a year it has been, in and out of rehab. That's it for me. Also work.
I mean, I'm sure work has been up and down too.
It
has been for me too, up and down. I'm doing some personal projects too, which I'm going to launch next year. Hopefully it works out well. But yeah, the whole UAP UFO stuff, I can't believe how mainstream it is, and how, you're not a crazy person to talk about it or believe in it, or
I know, man.
It's just normal.
So for the last few years, I've had a box and my tinfoil hat and a bunch of signs and my homeless clothes that I wear, so I can shout at people on the street about UFOs. And now when I do it, they just go, "Yeah, man, I know." And so it's like I lost that need to go out and scream about UFOs at people on the street.
That would be fun to do anyway. I think just get on the soapbox and start preaching.
Honestly, I straight up have really wanted to do that, or just become a street preacher, even though I'm not a religious person.
Dude, I'll be with you. Like, I won't be next to you, but I'll be around, so you don't feel like you're alone.
I'll be across the street pretending I don't know you exist. But I'll be with you in spirit.
But just in case anything happens, I'll run to that to help you.
But I just want to shout. I just want to shout complete nonsense things that couldn't be taken as like sacrilege. be like, and the Lord said, don't eat cheese pizza on Thursdays, you sinners.
You'd get
like,
a lot
oh
of
God, no,
you'd
this
get a
guy's
gathering
doing
for that
crazy.
if that's what you're saying.
Maybe that's what I'll do for Halloween, this upcoming Halloween. I'll dress. I gotta find some like really ratty clothes, and I'm sure I've got in my closet somewhere.
I mean, yeah.
I'll put on a tinfoil hat and carry a paper bag or a paper bag, a cardboard sign around that will say something ridiculous.
I mean,
I'll
if there's
put
one
on
place
there.
we have freedom of speech is in the streets. No one can do anything.
No, you know what I'll do? I'll put on the sign. The sign will say, "God hates signs."
Oh, it's like deeper meanings there too.
No. It's supposed to be because remember like Westboro Baptist Church when they were still a thing, and they would put the God hates, that derogatory word for people. Yeah, do something along, but like essentially making fun of that. God, of course, in my opinion, would never hate anyone who has a sexual preference.
This is obviously a just universe, you know.
Well,
look at nature. Nature doesn't lie, you know, and that's why we have science and technology. If it lied, we'd never be able to progress or have these technologies around us.
Yeah, but it also lets people who are rich rape little kids pretty much every day.
I know. Yeah, that's consciousness. That's that's why a lot of people don't believe in God, is because like, why is there so much suffering? Why is there all these things? And you know, it's valid points.
But you know, I think there's an argument there to be made about how that's a human thing. Like that's human corruption. Like the whole point about, you know, nature doesn't lie. Like if you stuck Elon Musk and Joe Biden and your average Joe's on an island someplace with no resources, you know, nature's not going to lie. It's not going to pick one person over the other.
True.
Well, shit. I think I I said that and I immediately disagreed with it because, you know, people get cancer for no reason all the time. Or random diseases for no reason.
I mean, a lot of those, I'm not going to say many of them are genetic, but a lot of those are lifestyle, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, no, of course. But, you know, there are a lot of diseases and sicknesses where it doesn't have to do with lifestyle. It's literally like, think about the kids who are born deformed or something. And it had nothing to do with, it was just genetics, just unfortunate bad draw of genetic code.
Yeah, I mean, lots of religions say, well, they go straight to heaven, so they're lucky kind of thing. But that could be a cop. It could be a cope. I mean,
since we love talking about other podcasts on the show, did you watch the Y-Files episode yet? The new one this week?
I think. Wait, remind me what it was. I think I did, but I put it in on with sleep, and I woke up and it was the song.
It was about essentially the afterlife, like
afterlife, near-death experience. That's what it was.
Yeah, near-death experiences. But it was really good. I actually
did he
just randomly. I caught it live, so for the first time I got to watch it live. I didn't comment or anything because God, it's just thousands of comments going by every second.
It's insane. It's insane how many comments he gets.
Yeah,
right?
But it was another AJ knocked it out of the park as usual.
As usual, he's such a great researcher, great writer. I mean, even the commercials, it's so creative how he comes up with the hecklefish and the ads. I mean, it's so funny. Human. Love his show. Yeah,
I just love that there's some lore behind Hecklefish now.
Is there anyone who doesn't watch that show? I feel like you know, why would you recommend that show if everyone watches it?
I don't know.
Everyone watch it?
I hope so. They should if they don't. He's a great
give him a day.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Happy New Year, cuz. You have anything crazy or just chilling?
No, I'm keeping my head down. I'm like so close to getting through the holidays without craving a drink, and I'm going to keep it that way.
Good
so I'm
going
to isolate myself and make sure I don't do anything stupid.
It's overrated anyway. And plus, we're on the West Coast here. Nothing happens, you know. By the time everyone, what I noticed in California, everyone just goes with New York, and then the party ends. So
yeah. Yeah, that's so true. They got to see the ball drop for some stupid reason.
Yeah, it's just on in the background.
Have you heard the horror stories really quick? Have you heard the horror stories of people who have like been there in person to watch the ball drop?
I think I've been there.
Like people, I've heard people like wear diapers so they can, because there's nowhere to use the bathroom. So there's no room. Sorry, can you hear that? Is that a helicopter or a plane?
A little bit. I hear it. Yeah, just a little bit though. It's gone.
Let me let it go. Yeah, apparently there's like nowhere, you can barely even move, even though it's Times Square, and so people are just pissing themselves and stuff like that, just because there's nowhere to go. You're stuck there.
Yeah. Okay, so I've never been actually, and yeah, but I've been in New York for New Year's, but not right there in Times Square because it's too hectic, and you have to be there like at 4. You have to be there like at 4 in the morning or something.
Yeah, and I don't do crowds. I mean that seems literally like my worst nightmare is being in New Times Square on New Year's Eve. I don't think I could do that for $1 million.
I used to love it. I used to love crowds, yeah, but now I can't stand them anymore.
If I was drinking, I could probably do it, but not anymore. Ugh.
Especially if everyone around you is drinking and you're not, it would look so stupid and retarded.
Yeah, it would not be an enjoyable time.
Right, I'm sure.
And I don't have any pretty girl to kiss this New Year's Eve, and no dogs to kiss either.
No dogs to kiss. Where are all the dogs?
The pugs are gone. My parents stopped in town with their dog, and they're now back home. My favorite little boy Jasper, he lives in Maine now with his mom.
Oh man, you need to get yourself a puppy.
Well, I'm thinking of see, I would love to get a puppy, but I don't want to be at work for 5 days a week leaving a poor puppy alone all alone. That's why I want a cat, because cats are independent.
Yeah, exactly. You'll come home and it would just sleep the whole time you're not home, and then once you're home, that's it. Oh yeah, and plus anyway, they're nocturnal.
Yeah,
I mean, my cat's like that. I mean, she's basically 10 p.m., 11 p.m. is when she's hyper. I'm like, man, I'm gonna go to sleep.
I remember our cats would have like wrestling fights in the middle of the night in the hallway outside my bedroom, and sprinting around. You're just like, good God, you guys couldn't do this earlier when everyone was awake.
No, they love nighttime. They love it.
I know.
They're so different.
I miss our cats. They were so cool, so weird.
Dude, get a cat.
Yeah, I want one like my old cat who had thumbs. She was the best.
Yeah, man. But aren't those usually like they're usually like mixed with big cats, right?
Yeah, she was half Himalayan. That was from Vini, the cat you gave me, or not me, gave our family. Yeah, and she mated with the alley cat.
Oh, he must have been like half, like some bobcat in him or something.
Oh, he was huge. He was gnarly. Okay. He was beat up. I can't remember. I don't think it was anyone's cat either. That cat just lived in the neighborhood.
Oh, so for sure he had something in him.
Yeah.
Okay. When you have those thumbs, yeah, it's only the big cats that have them.
Oh, cool. my cat with thumbs. She couldn't walk on carpet. She was so sweet though.
I love cats.
Sweet. Well, this has been a hell of a final episode of the year, because I've been so happy to be able to do this with you and get all the UFO stuff and obnoxious things that piss me off my chest.
It helps. It definitely helps me too.
Yeah,
it's really, I think it's therapeutic to talk about these things. I mean, I don't have anyone to talk about it really, especially when you get deep into it. Not just they're real. What are those things up in the air? The government. No, like you know what I mean. Like get off.
Yeah. No, I can't tell you how many times. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I'm like halfway into all the information I know about the Nords, the Nordish aliens, or like the difference between a small gray and a tall white, and which of the weird UFO people of the 60s documented them and all this stuff, and you can just see eyes glaze over. They just go, they're just like, I just want to meet the little green guys from Mars, and that's like that's the depth of their knowledge and care about UFOs.
Cartoon characters, yeah.
That's why it's so ridiculous that the government's so anti like opening up knowledge about them, because that's the vast majority of people just go, oh, cool, like gray aliens from Mars, neat.
I think Louis Farrakhan is pretty right there. It's probably just they want to keep
slowly do it.
Yeah, and show people that they're in control, that they're the ones who are in charge, and there's no one else on top of them, and that stuff.
They wouldn't want us showing up and then asking the aliens about, who are their religious figures, what have they been doing to us for the last 50, 60 years? How do your engines work? Tell me about your philosophy. What's your how does your math work?
Yeah.
And then show us the alien boobs.
Well, why don't you let's do some predictions for 2024. So what do you think is going to happen in the UFO UAP field? And we can we can do this again next year, and we'll see how right we were. So what's your big prediction for 2024?
My big prediction is I think there's going to be another big whistleblower like Grush, and it's going to be a lot of the same, where I think honestly it's going to be a lot kind of like a repeat of 2023. There'll be at least one other whistleblower that shows up and testifies to Congress, and it'll seem like a big deal. And they'll keep talking about how things need to get released and yada, yada, yada. It won't, but we'll get some more juicy tidbits. We might even see a real release picture of an alien corpse, or something like that. But then something weird will happen where it's like kind of like the NASA videos of the moon where they go, "Oh, this is a copy of the photo. We deleted the original, or we lost the alien body after this photo was taken."
Yeah. Man.
So
I hope not.
I think 2024 will be a lot of very similar to 2023. There's going to be, I think, another big push, probably around summer, of another person coming forward and talking about UFOs and aliens in a big way. They might even have actual proof and not just testify like Grush did. Like they'll testify, but they'll
firsthand.
They'll have firsthand knowledge and will show pictures or videos that they have. And I think people will clamor like they have, and I think there'll be another push to try and pass laws, and it'll be more of the same.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to predict that we are finally going to find out about Roswell, and because of the whole NDAA that's been signed, it's been 25 years. That was the first one that happened that actually, pushed our government to pass the National Security Act and all that stuff. I am predicting that since it's way overdue and since everyone already knows about it, it's been in movies, that we will get disclosure about Roswell. So that's my prediction.
I sure hope so, man. That'd be great.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
And tourism in New Mexico will just skyrocket.
Oh yeah, that's right. Maybe I should invest in the industry.
Start looking, man. Start looking for
that's insider trading there.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, it's been a great year. Because thank you. It's been hell of a ride this year with you on this show, and growing the show has been great to see. We got lots of interest, traffic, followers, subscribers. It's really awesome to see.
It's been great, man. And honestly, I know it's been longer than a year at this point, and it's 52 episodes, but it's flown by. It's gone a lot faster than the last podcast we did, which shall remain unnamed.
Yeah,
that definitely. I don't think that lasted much. No, how long did that last? A year and a half?
A year and a half. I would say a year and a half. Yeah.
And that seemed like a lot longer period of time than this has been.
Oh, that was a lot of work.
Oh my God, yeah, that was a lot of work. It was, but it definitely. We had a lot of fun with that one as well. I don't want to say it was terrible, and I thought it was a really cool format, and we got to meet a lot of really cool people.
We did, and it was a
lot of really stupid things with those cool people.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's not. Maybe one day we'll tell these stories, but there were some crazy stories with that podcast.
Yeah, when the statute of limitations runs out, we can finally reveal what we did.
Exactly. All right, cool. Well, Happy New Year! Happy New Year to you! Happy New Year to our subscribers and our listeners and our people that watch the show. Again, follow us on Twitter at UAP the podcast, and you can find us on all the podcasting platforms, on YouTube at Uncovering Anomalies Podcast, and Rumble at UAP Podcast. Once we get that working up again and running, and support us, please, for the new year. Let us get that.
We've talked about joining MUFON, not just subscribing to Project. What is it again? It's not Aurora. Aquarius, but we're talking about legitimately becoming UFO investigators.
Yeah,
get on the front lines.
I mean, I'm sure if we have that package, researcher package, we probably can, because then we'd have all that knowledge of all the previous cases. So we'll have all, we'll have all that in our heads. So we probably could.
Yeah. And on in that vein, if you have your experiences with UFOs, abductions, ghost stories, Sasquatch, anything, let us know. Hit me up on X, Topher et al. I'm not on there. Well, I am on there. I don't really.
Yeah, you.
I don't post anything much, but I will.
But if someone tags you, you'll see it.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And I'll interact with them too. Even if you're an AI bot, hit me up. It'd be nice to have someone to talk to.
Sounds good.
All right. Yeah. Thank you all so much for listening to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. This has been episode 52. That is I Want to Believe Adam. And I am Topher 2024 XXL iPodcast New Year Edition for only $29.99 a month. So I guess, we'll see you all next year.
Next year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.